Hey everyone, welcome to our Reconnected Social live podcast. So nice to be on with you all. I'm excited to get into this topic today. Just going to be inviting Eleanor on. We are going to be speaking about adult to adult relating and ventral vagal.
How are you all
All
going
right.
out there? Should we do a little check-in and then we'll start fresh?
All
I'm
right.
imagining
Well,
you're all out there having a nice cup of tea or relaxing or split focus. We do have a little bit of interactive questions on this podcast. So if you can't answer now, just like think about them a bit later. Come back to them. All right.
Oh, I love this. Monica's saying I noticed this week that I've started to sing at work, which I never used to do. That's so beautiful, Monica.
That is honestly so sweet.
It's a very ventral vagal activity.
Yeah. Being around kids who are like singing their little hearts out is one of my favorite ventral vagal moments. Yeah.
Wendy's been breathing daily for 50 days, and I know that it is bringing me many ventral vagal moments daily, in the moment and at ease. Rock on, Wendy. So great. Reconnected grandma.
We've been having so many beautiful ventral vagal moments this week. You know, we're in the first couple of weeks of reconnected parenting, so it's that setting intentions for the family and then seeing it unfold. And I think sometimes when we set an intention, then we're just noticing more. Like sometimes we notice more the areas that are challenging, but also we notice the areas where it's already happening. And I think that like affirming feedback loop can be really give you that ventral vagal sense of like, yes, it's happening, I'm affirmed. Yeah.
All right, so let's start the podcast. And we are going to be chatting about adult to adult relating. So welcome everyone to the Reconnected Social podcast. It's so nice to be here and be having this in-depth conversation about adult to adult relating. I'm Emma, as you guys know. This is Eleanor, and this is a topic that's very close to the work that we do here at the Reconnected, and something that I know that we've both personally journeyed with as we have explored breathwork over the 30 years combined that we've been practicing, and it is a big part of more consciously relating to the people around us.
I feel like because at the Reconnected, a lot of our focus is on the parent and child relationship. And a lot of people find that their adult to adult relationships do just naturally improve from spending more time in ventral vagal, learning to use their breath, learning to live intentionally. There is like this overflow. But so many parents have been wanting to speak more about their partnerships, their friendships, and the way that the work at the Reconnected shows up in their adult relationships. So we're really excited to kind of go into this topic. And I'd love to just start by having a think about what conscious relating means to you. What does conscious adult relating mean? And one of the things that we've observed and that you've probably seen in your own life is that for most of us in our adult relationships, we come to a point where we realize that we are living out some kind of pattern or conditioning from the past. And this shows up when we have a feeling like, oh, I've been in this before. I've done this before. This was in that last relationship I was in. This is why my last relationship ended. Or we notice like, oh, wow, this is very similar to how my parents related to each other. This is exactly how I didn't want to be, is sometimes the pattern. It's like conscious relating starts, most people, through noticing that they have no choice but to, or you may be unconsciously, habitually, once the relationship's been going on for a certain amount of time, we just see our patterns showing up, no matter whether we like committed to doing things differently this time in this relationship. At some point in our close, intimate relationships, we will see our stuff.
Yeah.
And so I think a lot of people nowadays really do understand that our early role models, our mom, our dad, or whoever was our predominant carer, or even the absence of our mom or our dad can also be very impactful. But that the role models that we had around us give us a lot of our subconscious ideas about who we need to be in a relationship. And so I think conscious relating ultimately starts when we see that we are repeating the past.
Yeah.
And for many people, this can be a little bit devastating, this moment, you know? Yeah. Often if we're in a relationship and we've been in previous relationships where our stuff is played out, we have kind of these high hopes that we're going to do it, it's going to be different, you know? And it's actually really hard to ever get away from ourselves in that sense. We hope that this new other person who might be different from all the other partners that we've picked in the past, this might be our chance to have our relationship go the way we want it to go. And it could be true, but it unfortunately rarely means that we won't at some point be confronted by ourself.
Yeah. And our stress reaction, whether you're voider or the yeller or the, whatever we, the pleaser, like how we have experienced ourselves through relationships, it will keep popping up time and time again until you really do the work at the level of the body and really change your habitual ways of relating.
And I mean, if you've been here at the Reconnected for a while, you'll know, like, this is really the area that we focus on most heavily in all of our programs. It's that we, in life, we experience, I guess, parameters that in our behavior, in the way that we relate, that we find it really hard to go out of. We feel like we, no matter what we do, even if we understand exactly why we do what we do, we can't create the freedom to choose how we want to be until we've done the work of rewiring the original experiences that we had that are like kind of contributing to this automatic habitual way of relating. And this happens in our intimate relationships really frequently because they often are like our safest, they're our primary attachment when we're an adult, but it also plays out in friendships,
community engagement, relationships with teachers, your child's teachers, doctors, authority, just in your way of relating human to human, adult to adult, and what's in the way of consciously relating and consciously connecting.
Yeah. And there tends to be that in our intimate relationships especially, but also in friendships, we either tend to replicate and do it the same way. So, you know, like seeing the way that our parents related to each other, or the roles that they both took, their gender roles, whatever their dynamic was. And we do it the same. Like for me, I have absolutely replicated the funniest pattern, which is that the females in my family line are always the power female who's who's working, they're the main earner, they're supported by a creative, funny, loving man who does most of the household work. And I was saying to my son the other day, I've got teenage kids and young adult kids. One of my young adult kids and his girlfriend spend a lot of time at our place, and it's so hilarious because she goes out and works and he has been staying home. There was one day where he was doing their laundry, and I said, you are the epitome of granddad and uncle such and such and Daz right now. Like, it was such a that is the male role models that we have, and that's the female role models that we have in my particular family. So for me, I have completely, even though I live really consciously, I think, you know, there's a lot of things that I have just replicated. They're the way things are. It's what feels normal to me, you know? And then if we think about that, you know, habitual, unconscious, stored past experiences, that we're reactive to those things in terms of it's impossible to do anything differently. We should do this and we have to do this. So there's norms that we don't even question. So for me, a lot of my early 20s, I didn't even question having artist, musician partners and doing the work. To me, it just felt normal. And then, you know, where this becomes problematic is when we have no option but to do it another way, but we would prefer to be doing it differently. So
yeah, that was definitely my story when I had kids. When I had kids, all of my parents' money problems became my own. So when I left home, I was quite rebellious and I went out into the world and I made lots of money, which was very new for our family. It was not something that was done before. I went out there, I was a model, I was making money, I was being frivolous, I was living a big and grandeur life. And then when I came home and I fell into a relationship, a long-term relationship, Ryan and I were together for 4 years before I had my first child. I fell into my parents' money story. So for the first part of our relationship, I started to work week to week in a cafe. My mom's always worked in hospitality week to week. And then when I had a child, I went on to government payments, which is my dad's story because he was on a pension my entire life. So, and that started to play out simply by being in relation with my partner. It was like all of a sudden this dynamic came in and we were locked into this financial quagmire where I hated it, but I couldn't figure out how to do it any other way. It was like the government payments medal, the torch had been passed on to me. Like, this is just how you do it. You live way below your means when you're a parent. You know, you struggle immensely. Yeah, and I was definitely in a lot of pain around it. That was a habitual pattern that was glaringly obvious to me and extremely painful.
And so it's funny because that's where it's like we have no choice but to do this. It's usually totally unconscious. You know, we don't think, oh, I'm going to be, now that I'm in a relationship, I should really get a job so I can be more like my mum was. We don't ever think these things. We just do. We just behave. We just react. And when we're recreating what we've done in the past in our relationships, often it will just feel comfortable, normal. Usually we don't even question it, you know. The conscious relating piece pops out when we realize, oh, this is not my choice about relationships. I am repeating what I have seen in the past. I am repeating what was modeled to me. I might not even choose this for myself. If I was consciously choosing, this might not be how I want it to go. So the flip side of this is sometimes we will have patterns, and all of us will have some kind of pattern where we've conformed and replicated, and we'll all have some small area where we've done the exact opposite, where we feel like we have gone completely free. So if this was me, it would be like, I'm never going to be in a relationship where the man isn't completely financially supporting the women. I'm never going to do that. I'm looking for the person who's going to really take care of me financially. And that's my focus. But it is still a reactive pattern because I'm not free to choose. I am absolutely relating to the partner. Like it's essentially like thinking, like we're not saying this consciously, but unconsciously we're saying, I'm with you because you're the opposite of my parents.
Yeah.
And it's still a reactive way of relating to someone.
If you want to keep listening, jump into Reconnected Social and start your free trial today.